We're going to have a little auction. I'm going to give you each $100,000, and I want we did this activity with the young ladies last Thursday, but I'd like to do it with everybody here. This is actually, to be honest with you, part of our landing curriculum, but I think it really is going to help with reference to the sermon tonight. So right now I'd like to turn it over to Rebecca. Warm round of applause for this woman.
Howdy. So we're going to do an auction. It's not a real auction. It's a life auction. And the purpose of this auction is, okay, you represent God. You're bestowed upon $100,000, okay? Yeah, Diane and Mariah and Kelly played this, and it was really fun. They were fighting over, well, I'm not going to tell you what they were fighting over, which one. But there are different categories. I'm going to do 2 of each category, okay? There are 12 different ones. And basically what your goal is to buy what you think will give you a fulfilling life, okay, with the $100,000. Now, yes? You can keep track of it, but if you're bidding on it, like, hold this high, okay? So that's what it's for. I was going to write numbers, but I know all y'all's names, so I don't want to. Well, you do to, like, when you're bidding. That's what they do in real auctions. Oh, does Matt need one too? Okay. And keep track of it, because you can bid on more than one thing. Okay? But you're trying to get a fulfilled life by this, okay? So let me give you the different categories, all right? Be thinking, because these are very expensive, some of them. Okay, first is, I'm just going to tell you the categories. We're not bidding right now. First is health. When you've got health, you've got everything. Next is wealth. Next is fame. Next is power, possessions, career, friends, inner peace, fun, talent, and suffering. What? Well, we're going to be bidding on them. So those are the categories. You don't have a writing stick? There should be some in the pews. All right. Everybody You have $100,000. Okay, $100,000. That's 100, and then 3 zeros after that. Okay, 100,000. Okay. All right, we're going to start off with health for 10,000. Who wants health for 10,000? Matt. Okay. 10,000, 11,000. Physical health. Health for 25,000. 26,000. 35,000. Health for 35,000. 35,001. Health. 35,002. What? 35,010. 35,002. What's your? Do you have a bid, Jack? 30. Well, okay, 33,000. 36,000. Rihanna. How high? 37,000. 37,000. 38,000. 40,000. 42,000. Health for 42. Really? 50,000. Health for 50,000. Health for 51,000. 52,000. You only have $100,000, guys. What? 100,000? Okay. Health for $100,000. All right. Luke just sold everything for health. All right. What's your question? So when you say health, that means we're sick every day? No. It's just you have superb health, so you're going to live long, and you're not going to have to, like, have chemotherapy. And Luke's got that right now. Okay, we're moving on. Sure. It can mean whatever it means in your mind. Okay, next is wealth. Wealth for 10,000. Wealth for 10,000. Wealth for 11,000. Wealth for 12,000. Wealth for 20,000. Wealth for 35,000. Are you serious? Okay, wealth for $100,000. Well, all right, next. Next is fame. You will be everyone's best friend instantly, starting at 15,000. Fame for 25,000. Fame for 26,000. 27,000. Fame for 40,000. 45. 50. Going once, going twice, fame for $50,000. What? Ugh, I already sold it, man. So Nini, you still have 50,000 left, okay? Someone else want to write this down, Timothy? Timothy, no, y'all are in the auction, sorry. Too bad, you're playing. All right, next is family. Warm moments with those you love the most. Family for 15. 15,000. And this is, remember, you're trying to get a fulfilled life. Family for 15,000. Going once. 60? 35. Family for 35. 40? 45. 70. Family for 70,000. Ooh, family for $100,000. Family for $100,000. You got it. And that's Zach. Okay, next is power. Power. $50,000. 55. 80. 81. 90,000. Going once, 91. 100,000. Nathan wins power for $100,000. You're in control of what's hot and what's not, Nathan. You're in control. All right, next is possessions. Possessions for 15,000. The person with the most toys wins. 15,000. 15,000? Okay. Possessions. Going once for 15,000. 20,000? Going, 30,000. Possessions, 35? 40. 45. 55. Possessions, 60. 80. 87,000. 88,000. Going once, going twice, 90,000. You only have 10,000 left. 90,000. Going once, going twice, 90,000 for possessions. All right, next is career. You'll have one great job after another and be rich. Going for 15,000. 15,000? Okay. Matt? 20,000. 35. 40. Each category. All right, 40,000 for career? 50. 75. Going once? $100,000. Karina just won a career for $100,000. All right, next is friends. Close buddies who will stick with you forever. 30,000. 35. 70,000. 70,000 for friends. Going once, going twice. Crystal wins friends for 70,000. Okay, next is inner peace, starting at $20,000. 10,000. 100,000. Ooh, Going once, going twice. Rihanna gets inner peace. All right, next is fun. Rihanna. 100,000. Wait, 35, Nini? 35. 50,000 for fun. All right, fun going once, going twice for $50,000. Fun. Alan. All right, next is talent. Be impressive, make a big impact with your skills. 50. 100,000, Bruce. Sorry, Bruce dominated. He got talent for 100,000. Yep. All right, next is suffering. Oh. All right, you all are going to have to, how high are you going to go? What? I don't know. 100,001 for suffering. Okay. All right. I think Jack, because he has $6 in his pocket. So Jack wins suffering for 100,000. Suffering for 100,000. Okay, I'm going to go through them one more time, guys. And all of y'all who haven't bid, you have to bid. Okay? All right. Health for 10,000. 10,000. Yeah, I'm doing each one twice. Crystal, health for 10,000. 11. 50,000. Health for 50,000. Matt. Going once. Going twice. Matt, no. Matt won it for 50,000. Matt wins health for 50,000. Wealth, starting at 20,000. Wealth for 20,000. There's 2 of each category. No. All right, Crystal won wealth, going once. What? 20,000. 30? 31? 35? 36, anyone? 47,000. 50. 51? Anthony? 64. Going once, going twice. Cece gets wealth for 64,000. All right, next, fame. You'll be everyone's best friend instantly. Well, then, I don't know. All right, fame for 20,000. 25. Going once. 100,000. Lexi wins fame for 100,000. Family. Warm moments with those who you love most for 50,000. 50,000. Anybody for 51? Family for 51? Family for 51? Going once? Going twice? Anthony wins family. Next, power. 51. You're in control of what's hot and what's not. Come on, guys. Power. 100,000. Vicky gets power for 100,000. All right, well, you gotta put your hand up. Got a bid. Put your hand up. We already bought stuff. Okay, possessions. The person with most toys wins. Possessions for 20,000. 20,000? 25,000? For? 25,000? All right. Going once, going twice. Alan wins. Wait, what? $1 million? You don't have that. You already blew all your money. Sorry. All right. Alan wins 25,000. Next is career. Starting at 20,000. Career. Career for 20,000. Going once. Career for 50,000. 50,000. Anyone else? Career? Come on. You'll have one great job after another and be rich. You have 49,000. And you already had 50,000. 50 once, twice, sold to Matt. You're going to have a career and what? Health? All right. Nope. 50,000. Friends, close buddies who will stick with you forever. Friends for 30,000. Because you already bought it. 30,000. 40. Going once, going twice. 40. 50. Going once, going twice. 50 for friends. 50,000 for friends. Nene. Inner peace. 100,000. All right, Diane. Boom. Be at peace with yourself and others. What stress? That's a good one. 100,000. Fun. 10,000. Fun for 11,000. Going once. 20,000. Going once. Going twice. 21. Do you have that, Alan? Okay. 25. Going once. Going twice. Fun for 25,000. All right, next is talent. Be impressive, make a big impact with your skills. Starting at 30,000. 30,000 for talent, guys. 31. 35,000. 36. 41. Going once. 49. Going once, going twice. Talent for 49,000. That's Anthony. All right, next. Suffering for $90,000. 90,000. Suffering for 90,000. Anybody have money? 90. All right, Cliff, going once, going twice. Cliff wins for $90,000 suffering. All right. We're good. You guys are crazy with your money. No one cares about family? I can't believe it. I know. All right, you ready?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to get started. Can you make that stop, please?
Yeah, you don't point a mic towards your...
Yeah.
Come on. Everyone knows that.
Shh, it's okay. Hey, it's okay. Still hear it? Okay, just going to take care of it. All right. Just 1 second. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good? We good? 10 of it back. How? We good? Okay, guys, you gotta let up on me a little bit, okay?
My only dollar left to offer.
You're a businessman. We good, Cliff? Okay. All right, guys, I want to get started. As I said last week, we talked about the brain. We talked about neurochemicals. I'm not taking questions right now. We talked about neurochemicals. We talked about how, with ladies in particular, how the neurochemical of oxytocin creates bonding, which leads to trust, how that affects relationships. And it does break your heart when two people bond, and bonding can take place even after 20 seconds of holding hands. When bonding takes place, two people bond and it's ripped apart. Two people are living as one flesh, and that one flesh is ripped back into two. That's very painful. There's psychological, there's emotional damage in that. My question now for this week, though, is why do we do that stuff so often? Why do it's so prevalent, and especially in my job, do I see so many people that are hurting from broken relationships? Knowing that there's so much at risk, knowing when we've seen other people who've engaged in relationships and they experience the pain, why are we it's easy for us to risk the pain? Luke? Trying to find a hope in something. And that's really kind of what we're going. 1 second.
Someone took my $5. I'm gonna put $1 in.
I'm sorry, I'm easily distracted. Hey, man, you got to be cool, okay? Yeah. No. We'll talk right after, okay? I want to ask you a question tonight, young people. What are the deepest desires of your heart? I'm not taking questions, okay? So why don't you raise your hand if I ask a question, okay? That'll work better. This is a rhetorical in some sense. I want you to answer this internally. Internally, okay? What are the deepest desires of your heart? What do you look to make you happy? When I say what are the deepest desires of your heart, I'm not talking about your goals in life. I'm not talking about your 5-year or 10-year plan. And we talked a little bit about this. I want to flesh Thursday with the guys, but I want to flesh it out just a little bit more tonight. What are the deepest desires of your heart? Now, raise your hand if you'd be honest with me. When I ask that question right now, how many of you would say, nothing comes to mind immediately? Anybody like that tonight? In honesty? Okay. And that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight. When I ask a question like, what are the deepest desires of your heart? What are the things that you long for in life? Long for to make you happy? You long for to give you meaning and significance? Things you long for to give you a sense of well-being. What are those things? And some of you, it's the type of question that, particularly here in American culture, we don't often ask ourselves. And so it's like when I ask that sometimes, it's like, hey, I'm not getting traction here. I don't really relate to what you're saying. So let me ask it a different way, and I'll come back to it, because I want to explore this tonight. And if you can understand this, young people, at your age, you'll be way ahead of me where I was at your age. Let me ask you something else, though. Can I ask you, what do you look to make you happy right now? What are the things you enjoy that you turn to? And here, when I say, what are the things you turn to make you happy, to fulfill yourself, to maybe enjoy life, or maybe even just to entertain yourself or distract yourself? What are the things you turn to? And I want you to be honest with me, young people, particularly because I'm not just talking about the good things. I'm talking about whatever it is, the good, the bad, the ugly. Some things we turn to, we know we turn to them, and we know they're not good for us, but yet we still find ourselves turning to them. So, Alan, music. Good. Just going to list a few up here. Philip? Love? What kind of love? Dr. Love? Strange love? Sports? Can I just say sports? Alan? Do you mean relationships? So what I interpret that to mean is when you're looking for trust, you're looking for Depth in your relationships. I'm just going to put trust, though. Someone else might say something else. Summer?
I think in the culture we live in, it can be looked at things that are tangible. Like with
Yes.
a lot of times with like trust and fear and knowledge, we're looking for instant gratification instead of
How do people make us feel good, Summer?
I think like uplifting compliments and stuff like that. We long for that
Yes?
praise.
Yes? Yes? So can I put relationships next to that? Real quickly, I want to pause here on relationships for a second. What kind of relationships are most important to you young people? Which relationships in your life right now are most important to you right now? Can we just pause and ask that real quick? I want you to be honest with me. I'm not just talking about, we're not going to condemn you if you tell me something that's not acceptable. I want us to be honest here tonight, have a safe environment. So real quickly, Zach? Okay. That's awesome, man. That's a big one. Anthony? Okay. So I'm going to say, I'll just say boy/girl friend. Okay? What are the relationships that are really meaningful, important to you guys? Okay. I'll just put friends and family. Karina? Sisters. There's more specific. Daniel. Sorry, Dan. That's kind of where I'm going too, so much tonight. So you're on the right track. All right, quit looking at my outline, man. Would you quit stealing my outline? All right? So I'm going to pay self, and then I'm going to put a /shame, okay? Just because it's relevant to where we're going, even though it's not really relevant yet. So thank you for that, Dan. Alan, last. Okay, I see that as more to conclusion. We don't go to, hey, what do I want to do tonight to have some fun? Life choices. All right? I think that's more. Now, that's true. But I see it as more of an umbrella. I'm going to go there a little bit later. Dan. Okay, that's part of the reason why we turn to things to fulfill something in us. Tavon. Okay, so now let's go back to the original question. What are some of the things we turn to in life for meaning, significance, happiness, make us feel good? Cliff, and then Anthony, and then Philip. I'm going to put down experiences. It's good. All right, Zach. Back to the Future. Dude. Dan? Education, books. Yes, praise God for books. I got a book coming in the mail right now. I'm so excited. Nathan and then Cliff. Cliff? Rebecca? remember, when you guys are in dialogue or debate with people that maybe believe different than you, I just want to say this real quickly. It's not so much about making a point as it is about making a difference. Okay? We'll elaborate more on that later. Andre? That's actually relevant. Anthony, last one. Feel good about yourself? I want to put that down here too, next to. Yeah. Okay, Chris, the last one. Okay, last one. Empathy. I want to put it down just because I appreciate your contribution. How do you spell empathy? I always wonder if there's an H there. Is there an H there? Yeah, okay. It's hard to spell in front of people. Jack. Oh, efficiency. Efficiency. I'm sorry. It looks more like a delta, doesn't it?
My name's Greek. T-H is the
It is.
abbreviation.
Now, I want to switch gears a little bit. We're going to come back. If I said, is lust good or bad, what would you say? Bad. What? Oh, it's good. What is wrong with this young lady? She's saying lust is good. How dare she say that? Let's just- So I want to say this. In lust, she's arguing that lust is good in its proper context. The idea here is when lust leaves its proper context, this is like a fire that burns past the fireplace. A fire burning in a fireplace is good. It provides heat. Roast some marshmallows. Outside the fireplace, your house could burn down. Is that right? Andre and then Luke. Is lust good? She makes a pretty strong point. Wait, shh. Dude, you gotta chill. You gotta. Desire. You gotta raise your hand on this. Andre. We're gonna go to the Bible in a second, and we're gonna clear that up for you. What's the Bible say? Is the Bible important, guys? Luke? Okay. Anthony, and then Tavon, and we're going to keep going. Good man. All right. I want you to turn your Bibles to Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. Where are we, guys, real quickly, what's Matthew 5 in the scripture? Where are we, what's going on there? Sermon on the Mount. Very good. Matthew 5 through 7. Sermon on the Mount. When you hear Matthew 5, if I hear Matthew 6, you hear Matthew 7, I want you to think instantly Sermon on the Mount. Yeah, man. All right. For sake of time, I'm going to read this really quickly. We're going to look at verse 27, 28. Some are just referred to this text. We're going to make a point. We're going to move to another text. Matthew chapter 5, 27 through 28. I hear some pages turning, so I'm going to pause for a second, give you a second. It's really good to get in the exercise of flipping these pages. All right, I hear no pages, so I'm going to start reading. this is Jesus speaking, okay? You have heard the commandment that says, you must not commit adultery. What is adultery? For those who don't know, it's intimacy outside of marriage. You're married, in fact, you cheat on your partner, and you get intimate with somebody you're not married to while you're married. But I say, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, in verse 28, I want you to look at the word lust. I say, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So, guys, I'm going to pause here and say this. Oh, that girl is fine. Did you like my accent? That was an accent. What? Yes, I am. But if I wasn't, there might be an issue, right? Because, guys, when we say that, we're thinking oftentimes, we say, oh, I'm just appreciating her as art. Right. So, you guys ever been to the Detroit Institute of Art? Okay, so they say, oh, there's naked people on those paintings, and it's like, oh, that's art. But really, as I studied it, I see, okay, a lot more of that is actually softcore pornography back in the day, if you look at it. For them, that was really risque. And we've come so far that it's like, it's nothing. Jack. You're not married yet. And here's the thing, I've seen people get engaged, come really close. I've seen this multiple times, and then it not happen. So the time frame is, important. Now, I want to say the word here for lust is epithumeo. Okay? Epithumeo. Yes, it is. Because the New Testament was written in Greek. So it's translated lust. Now, in English, the word lust in here in America has what we call a negative connotation, which means we hear the word lust, oftentimes we think, oh, that's a bad thing. But the word really there is epithumeo, which could be translated lust or desire. Now, I want you to turn your Bible to Luke 22. Luke 22:15. Luke 22:15. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke. So 2 Gospels over. Luke chapter 22, verse 15. So there's 24 chapters in Luke, so it's 2 chapters from the end. Luke 22:15. And then we're going to make a point. All right, I don't hear any pages turning, so I'm going to go ahead and read, except for my page. Jesus, again, saying, Jesus said, I have been very eager to eat this Passover meal with you before my suffering begins. He says, I have been very eager to eat this Passover meal with you before my suffering begins. Very eager there in the New Living Translation, that is the same word, epithumeo. Epithumeo. Kind of fun to say. That is meaning, desire. I've greatly desired, another translation would interpret it. Translate it. I've greatly desired to eat this meal with you, Jesus said. So that what we learn from this is really along the same line that what some are saying is, desire, what I might translate as lust, is actually a good thing. The problem is really the object of our lust, the object of our desire, where a good thing can be turned into a bad thing. A good thing can turn into a God thing, which means it's an idol. So, do you realize you were created to have desire? And that's kind of what I'm asking you, coming full circle. What are the things that you desire? What are your deepest desires in life? Because the problem is not that you have desires. The problem is, what do we look to fulfill those desires? Now, I'm going to give you, I want you to think deeply, okay? Because sometimes when I'm going to mention 7 categories, and sometimes when I mention these categories to young people, it doesn't really get traction. Okay? and I'm not here to say just because your prefrontal cortexes aren't developed yet doesn't mean you can't get this, but you're going to have to think a little bit, okay? So we're not talking about, this girl, this relationship will make me happy. I will feel good if I have this relationship. Why is that? Let's think a little deeper. Why would that relationship make you feel good? Why is that? I'm going to give you some categories. I'm just going to write them up here, and I'm going to define them. You got to hold on. Someone please play Jeopardy. Man, this thing, hard to have significance. Whiteboards and left-handed does not go very well together. Because you have a tendency to erase what you just wrote. Okay,
Time's up.
here we go. You may not realize this about yourself even yet, but I want to give you some categories because ultimately those things that you're chasing after in life, even things that are somewhat destructive that you know you shouldn't do, there's an underlying desire, there's an underlying need that you have that you're seeking to meet. The first one I'm going to say is attention. Attention. What do people who go to prison, if they're bad again or bad some more, what happens in prison? Solitary confinement. Why is that a punishment? Because humans need attention. Humans need community. They need to be interact with other people. You have to be with other people. Now guess what? The reason why we have that desire is because God, we're made in the image and likeness of God, and God exists in community, a.k.a. the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. So because we're made in His image, we have the desire to be in community. We need attention. Do you realize that children, children need attention. Attention from their parents, getting that attention, that stimulation, whether through words or physical affection. Do you realize that that is developmental to the brain? Do you realize that babies, children who don't get a lot of attention from their parents, their brains don't develop properly or fully? Summer. Okay, so Summer brings up yet again another good point. Oftentimes, these needs aren't met when we are very young. Babies, children, during our formative years where our brain is forming, it has long-lasting implications for the rest of our lives. So we can say, hey, this is where we get the idea of, if we don't get what we call attachment with our mom, with our dad, we can get a disorder. Psychologists would call it, called reattachment disorder, which we have a hard time attaching, right, building relationship with people in our peer group, of our same age. You need attention. Is there anything wrong with attention? The problem is, where are you seeking to get that attention? Are you seeking to get that attention in a positive way or a negative way? Because guess what? There's nothing wrong with the desire for attention. The problem is, where are you seeking to have that desire met? The next one. Well, I'm just going to define that a little bit more. Attention says this: I long for people to like me. I long for your embrace. And the embrace that I'm talking about doesn't necessarily have to be a physical embrace. It means like a welcoming embrace. I accept you. You need that. Some of you, it's like it's all about attention. You don't realize it, and you're chasing relationships because you want that attention. You don't care if it's negative attention or positive attention. You have young people that act out in class. They do things very destructive because they realize, hey, no one's noticing me, but if I do something destructive, I'll get some attention. Yes, it's negative, but at least people I cannot be ignored. that comes from a good desire that's being fulfilled in a destructive way. Second one I have here is affection. I long to be enjoyed. I long to be delighted in. I long for you to take pleasure in who I am. Now, this is very important in any kind of relationship. Do you want to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't appreciate you? Doesn't enjoy you? Sometimes you say, I need affection, so I'm in this relationship. Or you can say, rather, I need attention, so I'm in this relationship. Well, this person doesn't give me any affection, but at least I get attention. I'm going to get affection, but I get attention. And that's going to have to be enough for now because I'm desperate. The next one is affirmation. I long to know I have what it takes. I long for your blessing. I want to read that one again. Affirmation. I long to know I have what it takes. I long for your blessing. Young men, oftentimes, we long for our dads to tell us, I'm proud of you, son. I'm proud of your son. By the way, the whole idea and role in parenting is to prepare the children to be able to stand up on their own 2 feet. To be able to stand up on their own 2 feet out in the world on their own. Parents that remove every obstacle from their children, they get to the time when they're supposed to step out of the nest and they're scared to death or they're completely incompetent because they've never been forced to work through the issues themselves. But a dad is going to lead his son or his daughter, says, you know what, I can't remove the obstacle, but I can guide you, counsel you through how to deal with the obstacle yourself so you can build some muscles for life, if you will. And when the dad does that and the son or the daughter does well, he says, I'm proud of you. You got what it takes. And that fulfills a deep desire within us. When the dad fails to do that, we look for that in all these different kind of places. We look for that in all kind of places. Even in inappropriate relationships. Dare I say, even in same-sex relationships. The next one I have here is acceptance. I long to belong. I long to be desired. I long to belong. I long to be desired. Here's the idea of, you know what? The only people that I feel like will accept me are the kids that do drugs or party, drink, get drunk, whatever. But you know what? I need acceptance so much. And if they're the only ones that are going to give it to me, I better do drugs. And people generally enter into a lifestyle of drunkenness or drug addiction or smoking cigarettes because of what? Peer pressure. This is a common thing. The reason why that is I need their acceptance. If I don't go along with the crowd, they're not going to accept me. Is acceptance a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. The question is, young people, where are you going to get your acceptance? Where are you going to get your acceptance? And you know what? I'll challenge you this way. Listen up, young people. Here's what you want to ask yourself. One of the calibrating questions, diagnostic questions you can ask yourself is, okay, do I want to follow in the footsteps of my mom and dad? Some of you have amazing parents. Some of you have no parents. There's a whole wide range here. But guess what? Think of it. Am I following in the same footsteps as my mom or dad when they were my age? Am I doing the same things? Because that's going to be the path of least resistance for you. Very often we go down the path of least resistance. What's easiest for us and what comes to us naturally is what our parents did before us. So it's very good to take a strong look at that parent and say, what is the good and what is the bad? What do I want to imitate and what do I want to reject? And when you reject something that your parent did when they're your age, doesn't mean you have to hate them or give them a hard time or disrespect them or stop honoring them. All I'm saying is you can learn from them. You don't have to repeat their mistakes. Next one I have here is satisfaction. I long for fullness. I long for well-being. Sometimes some young people, they go from house to house to house. Maybe have to sleep in cars. They come from a cycle of poverty, and they never feel at rest because things are in turmoil. There's never enough food. They're always threatened with the electricity about ready to be shut off. They always feel like they have an eviction notice. Mom and dad are always looking for work. The bridge card got reduced this month. And they just want to say, I just want everything to be okay. Because kids shouldn't have to worry about all the stress and pressure, should they? Divorces happen, and kids take on that tragedy upon themselves and blame themselves, and they say, what can I do to fix it? What can I do to fix it? It must be my fault. and they don't have a sense of well-being because their life is in turmoil. What can happen is you grow up and say, wow, this thing over here, this distraction, it can give me a sense of well-being. I don't care if society says or God says it's destructive. I need it to make myself feel good. Got to move quickly. Significance. I long for impact. I long for meaning. I long to be powerful. I long for impact. I long for meaning. I long to be powerful. Now, sometimes young people, it's hard to be relevant. I can say, well, I want to grow up to be a drug dealer. Or I can say, I want to grow up to be a politician. Or I can say, I want to grow up to be a pastor so I can tell people what to do. Right? That's the wrong motivation, isn't it? Or it can be in your school, you're like, okay, I got a clique of friends, and I decide who's in the clique and who's not. And if you're not in my clique, I'm going to persecute you. I'm going to make you feel like you're nothing. And I'm going to gain my sense of well-being from the fact that I'm exercising power over your being accepted or not. Is that a good use? Is that a good way to fulfill that need, that desire? How about security? I long to know I will be okay, which is very similar to satisfaction. So I want to switch gears just a little bit. We're going to hold on to those categories. I want you to think about right now, which one do you have a proclivity towards? Are any of these getting traction with you? Because you think about the things that you can't control in your life that you keep running after. Think about the habits in your life that you wish weren't there. Have you noticed all the things you can't get right in your soul? Your lust, your drivenness, your anger, your impatience, your passivity, your judging others, or the fact that you like to drop names a lot. Why do people drop names? Oh, I was hanging out with, what? No, I was hanging out with, what's Madonna's name, daughter's name? It goes to U of M right now. L with the L. Sorry, I'm trying to do a relevant example. Lou, I forgot. Okay. I was hanging out with Eminem this week, y'all. You impressed? Huh? Eminem? I was hanging out with Eminem. Yeah. Why do people do that? I'm important. I'm significant because something else. What? Momentarily important. That person's important. I want to attach myself to that person so I can feel important. This is oftentimes why, when we're choosing our identities, young people, we attach ourselves, sign ourselves to a certain look, right? Like the classic examples in high school is like the preps, jocks, stoners, goths, emo, right? Dubstep people. Industrial, that's my era. Oh, so if I dress industrial and listen to this type of music, that means I'm as cool as that whole kind of look in music and everything, right? So I want to dress like that because that means I'm cool. But what does the desire from cool come from? It stems from a desire for acceptance, a desire for self-worth. Is that deep enough? Is that a deep enough reason to say that you're worth something because you dress a certain way? Is that depth? What happens when that thing goes out of style? You go, oh, I got to switch now, right? It's like the person that wears the Detroit Lions jersey, and then they don't make it again, and they're like, they switch to, okay, let's put on the Red Wings jersey. Let's switch to hockey, right? Because like, hey, why do we switch? Because I want to fit in. I want a sense of worth and acceptance. Young people, we often say, oh, people get addicted to drugs and alcohol because they made bad choices. Very, very often addiction is about the hole in your heart. The hole in your heart. So if these needs aren't being met in some way, we get desperate and we'll go after anything. So here's what happens. We commit the sin in our lives because it promises to meet some kind of need in our soul. So I don't know if you can see this. So what is that? It's an iceberg. Sorry, trying to be an iceberg. When you see an iceberg, I don't know if you've ever seen one, the tip is coming out of the water, but everybody knows with an iceberg, there's far more underneath the water than what you're actually seeing. So say the negative behavior that you're involved in, right? That's just the tip of the iceberg. And if you want to stop that negative behavior, if you're engaged in something, you can't just look at the behavior itself, because the behavior comes from where? Comes from the heart, comes from the soul. And very often it's because we're looking to fulfill a need. So he's like, well, I'm doing it in a negative way. I want to stop doing that. You're not going to stop doing whatever behavior it is you don't want to do anymore until you start realizing, why do I want to do that behavior to begin with? What drives me to do that to begin with? Sometimes with drugs and alcohol, it's because we want a moment of escape. Why do we want to escape? Escape is really about the idea of denial. Okay? Depersonalization, yes. Escape says, you know what? There's something missing in my soul. I have a hole in my heart, and I want to escape the pain of that because some need's not being met. So I want to escape from that, so I want to turn to, hey, I'm going to get high for a second. I'm going to get drunk for a second. Or I'm going to get involved in an inappropriate relationship for a second. Or, man, it's like, I'm going to look at pornography for a second. And for a moment, we can turn away from that hole in our heart and be distracted. But what I'm challenging you today, young people, I'm trying to make a point here, is find out why you're attracted. Young ladies are often attracted to the wrong relationships. They know it's destructive, and they keep chasing after it. Why is that? What is of their desires do they really need to be, are they really chasing after to have met? They need affection. They need attention. They want acceptance. They want satisfaction. In fact, the wrong relationship, in some sense, can meet all these desires. Do you realize that? Do you see why it's so powerful? We talked about the brain last week, but now I'm talking about the mind. I'm talking about the soul. And those two are inextricably linked. So I can, you got say you got two brothers, right? And if I'm giving you a drink from a fire hydrant right now, maybe I can pause and we can take this up next week. But you think of two brothers that grew up in a household where their dad didn't give them attention, didn't give them much affection, didn't give them much affirmation. They didn't even know if they were accepted. They didn't feel a sense of satisfaction. Because their dad didn't set his affection on them, they didn't feel like they were significant. Because they didn't feel like significant, they had no sense of security. And so they have this hole in their soul. And they haven't been introduced to the fact that their Heavenly Father will give them all these things. So they're looking for love in all the wrong places. So one son, the older brother, guess what? He's the good kid. He's the overachiever. He's the school president. He's the straight A student. He's getting the scholarships to the university. And he's working hard. The other son is a drug addict. He's hanging out with the wrong crowd, doing things he shouldn't be doing. That crowd is now, hey, we're going to get into stealing. So, hey, I want to be accepted by this crowd, so I'm going to steal right now. And we're going to take that money that we got from stealing something, and we're going to go get high, have a good old time. And guess what? Both brothers, they're not different, they're the same. Because they're both living, acting out of that hole in their heart. They say, I'm significant because I make good grades, and I'm on the honor roll, and I'm on the dean's list. The other guy says, I'm significant because this group of people, they're super cool, and they accept me. Both things can be destructive. Now, there's definitely some advantages to being the overachiever, or what we call superachiever. But guess what happens? When his whole life is looking after his job, his status, to give him a sense of self-worth, what happens to when he has a family? They get neglected. Now, guess what they feel when they get neglected? Same thing that the dad felt growing up. And the cycle perpetuates and continues. Because he's misguided into where he gets his acceptance, where he gets his affection, where he gets his affirmation. Some dads, they go to